Hi everyone, it's Alyssa and welcome to You Can Learn Math.
Today we're talking about how to simplify fractions. This is something that we're introduced to usually in some of our earlier grades, but it keeps coming back. And if we don't get this really solid, if we don't understand how to do it, it is going to come back to bite us later. We really need to know and remember, keep knowing how to simplify fractions. So let's start with talking about equivalents or fractions that are the same, because that's what simplifying is. Simplifying means if I had, and I'm going to horribly use the grid that's in the background. Let's say I had a rectangle divided into two parts, and I had another rectangle divided into four parts, and I had another rectangle divided into 8 parts. Well, what have I shaded? Well, in this first one here on the left, I have 2 parts, and I've shaded one of them. So I've shaded 1/2. Zoom out a little bit. This middle one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, and I've shaded 2 of them. So I've shaded 2/4. And my last one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 parts, and I shaded 4 of them. So I shaded 4/8. But as you can see, in all 3 of them, I've shaded the same amount, the same area. So that means 1/2, 2/4, and 4/8 are all the same. If I was told to simplify any one of these, it's going to be the fraction with the smallest denominator, the smallest number on the bottom. So if 2, 4, and 8, 2 is the smallest, so 1/2 is the simplest form of this. Now, the way this usually comes up is they're going to give you a fraction that looks more like the 4/8, and they want you to get it down to that 1/2, that simplest form. Now, if you notice something about these 3 fractions, there's a pattern here. And if we can notice this pattern, we'll be on our way to seeing how we can simplify fractions easily. 1/2, 2/4, and 4/8. I'm going to just look at these, not really look at those pictures anymore, but just look at these numbers. What if I compare 1/2 and 2/4? Let's see what happened. How would I get from 1 to 2 if I was multiplying? I would multiply times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. What would I do on the bottom? 2 times 2 is 4. Same number top and bottom. If I'm going this way, I would say 2 divided by 2 gets me 1, and 4 divided by 2 gets me 2. So, that's interesting. Multiply or divide by the same number on top and bottom. Does that hold true with 4/8? Yes, it does. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And if I wanted to go the other direction, same thing. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. It's always going to be multiplying or dividing by the same number on top and bottom to make these fractions the same. This is critical. So you either multiply by the same number top and bottom to make it a fraction with a bigger denominator. And if I want to make it simpler, to make those numbers smaller, I need to divide by the same number on top and bottom. So what we're doing when we get these fractions that need to be simplified is we want to look for the biggest number that I can divide the top and the bottom by. It has to be the same number, top and bottom. So here's an example. 5 over 20. What's the biggest number that I can divide into 5 and also divide evenly into 20? Well, it's 5. So if I say 5 divided by 5 and then 20 divided by 5, I'm dividing both by the same number. On the top, 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 5/20 is the same as 1/4. Now, a little tip, once you have simplified it, you need to double check and make sure it is as simple as possible. In this case, because there is a 1 on top, yes, it's as simple as possible. Anytime there's a 1 on top as the numerator, don't have to do any more. You are as simple as possible. If it's not, you need to do a little more checking just to make sure you've completely simplified it, because sometimes when we divide by a number, we may not have gotten the biggest number. The technical term for that is the greatest common factor. If you find the greatest common factor right off, which I have a video on that if you're wanting to find that's a whole separate conversation about finding the greatest common factor. Link is in the description below, using factor trees and things of that sort. If we don't know the greatest common factor, the other way you can do it is to sort of whittle it down. For example, let's say I had 36 over 72. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the greatest common factor is 36. Well, what if I didn't know that? What could I do? I might go, well, this ends in 6 and this ends in 2. That means they're both even. They're both divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide the number on top by 2 and the number on bottom by 2. 36 divided by 2 is 18. 72 divided by 2 is 36. Now, this is not, as I said, this is not a 1 on top, so I have to check. Can I simplify it even more? I go, they're still both even. So let's see. 18 and 36, they're both still even. So I can divide by 2 again. And there's a lot of ways you can do this. You might also have looked at them and said, oh, this is 9 times 2, and that's 9 times 4. 9 goes into both of them. I can use 9. That's fine. Neither way is wrong. Both are right. This way, when you do it by 2s, it might take you a little longer, but you're still going to get the right answer. It's okay. So on the top, 18 divided by 2 is 9. On the bottom, 36 divided by 2 is 18. I go, okay, it's still not a 1 on top. I need to check 9 and 18. Now at this point, I might realize, 9 goes into both of those. Or I might see that 3 goes into both of those. Again, neither one is wrong. If you do 3, because that's a smaller number, you're going to have to simplify one more time. If you do 9, then this will be your last step. So I go, 9 goes into both of those. So if I divide the top by 9 and divide the bottom by 9, I'm going to get 9 divided by 9, or 1 on top, 18 divided by 9, and 2 on the bottom. So 1/2, I've got my 1 on top. So that's as small as I can get. So 1/2 is the simplest version of 36 over 72. Now here's one. Let's say 8 over 28. And I want to simplify this. I go, what goes into both of them? 2 goes into both of them. Are there any bigger numbers? See, what goes into 8? I usually start with the smaller number. What goes into 8? 8 is 1 times 8, or 2 times 4. Do any of those numbers go into 28? Well, 2 does. Oh, and 4 does. 4 is bigger. That's a good one. 8 doesn't, so I'm not going to use 8. I'm going to use 4. So I'm going to divide the top by 4, and I'm going to divide the bottom by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 28 divided by 4 is 7. Now this is not a 1 on top. So I need to double check and make sure before I move on to the next problem that this is as simple as it gets. So I say, okay, what goes into 2? Is there anything that goes into 2 that goes into 7? 2, the only thing that goes into it, it's 1 times 2. 7, the only thing is 1 times 7. So the only number they have in common is 1. That doesn't help us. It has to be bigger than 1. So That confirms it. 2/7 is as simple as it gets. That is the most simplified version of 8/28 is 2/7.
I hope you enjoyed that today. If it was helpful, useful in any way, please like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you have a great day. See you later. Bye.